Hello, doctors. We are just getting ready to start. We're about 5 minutes out from starting our webinar, 5 prep steps to take before hiring your first associate. Stay tuned. This is going to be an awesome webinar. If you are in that place, you're in solo practice, you're looking at adding an associate, we're going to be getting started here in just a few minutes. We're going to be talking about a strategic plan for growing to a 2-doctor practice wisely. Coming up here soon, about 4 minutes away. We're going to start right on time, right at the top of the hour. So stay tuned. More and more of you joining us now. Excited to present this information to you. I am Dr. Bill Davis with UCM Practice Growth Systems. Excited to present this information to you. This is so important. If you are in that place, you're in practice growth stage 2, you're in solo practice, you're ready to hire an associate, this is going to be some awesome information for you. We're going to be talking about 5 prep steps to take before hiring your first associate. We are about just a little over 3 minutes away from starting this webinar. Stay tuned. We're getting ready to start. More and more of you joining us. Stay on here and we will be getting started in just a few minutes. We will be talking about 5 prep steps to take before hiring your first associate, a strategic plan for growing to a 2-doctor practice wisely. I am Dr. Bill Davis. This is UCM Practice Growth Systems webinar of the month, and we are excited to get started here in just a few more minutes. We are just about 3 minutes away from starting our webinar for this month, 5 prep steps to take before hiring your first associate. You can go ahead and keep logging in. We are getting ready to start here in just a few minutes. I am Dr. Bill Davis with UCM Practice Growth Systems, and welcome to this month's webinar. We're getting ready to start here in just a few minutes. 5 prep steps to take before hiring your first associate. This is going to be a strategic plan for growing to a 2-doctor practice wisely. And this is going to be some really good stuff. I'm excited to present this to you. Lots and lots of information, you can use and apply right now if you're getting ready to hire an associate. So we're almost ready to start here, just a little over 2 minutes away. We'll be starting right at the top of the hour. 5 prep steps to take before hiring your first associate. I am Dr. Bill Davis with UCM Practice Growth Systems, and we are going to be going over a strategic plan for growing to a 2-doctor practice wisely. We're just about a little over a minute and a half away from getting started. More and more of you logging in, excited to present this information to you. 5 prep steps to take before hiring your first associate. This is a strategic plan for growing to a 2-doctor practice wisely. I'm excited to present this information to you. I am Dr. Bill Davis with UCM Practice Growth Systems, and we are getting ready to start here in just a little over a minute. 5 prep steps to take before hiring your first associate is our topic for today, and we got some great information for you. This is really exciting for any of you who are in this growth stage. You're ready to hire that first associate. We are less than a minute away. We're getting ready to launch, getting ready to start. We're going to start right on time, right at the top of the hour. For those of you that are still logging in, get ready, set aside all those distractions, focus in on what we're going to be talking about here, get that pen ready and paper so you can write down some notes, be ready to get going with us. We're going to be talking about 5 prep steps to take before hiring your first associate. We are just about ready to start, and we will be starting right at the top of the hour, which is coming up very soon, less than 30 seconds away. We are getting ready to launch, getting ready to start this awesome webinar. 5 prep steps to take before hiring your first associate. We are almost there, docs. We are going to get ready to start here in just a few more seconds. 5 prep steps to take before hiring your first associates. All right, doc. Thank you very much for joining us at our webinar for this month, 5 prep steps to take before hiring your first associate. I am Dr. Bill Davis, founder and CEO of UCM Practice Growth Systems. We're going to be talking about these 5 prep steps, a strategic plan for growing a 2-doctor practice wisely. Very excited to have all of you here live, and those of you that are watching on the replay, welcome also to this important information. Who am I? I'm Dr. Bill Davis. I built a successful all-cash upper cervical specific practice before breaking my neck mountain biking. And since then, I have founded and have been running UCM Practice Growth Systems for going on 12 years now. And what we do is we help upper cervical specialists grow their practices. And that is what we do every day. And that's what we do as a focus of what we love to help doctors with. And over the past 11 years plus, we've helped over 250 upper cervical doctors grow their practices, double their practices, build million-dollar practices, add associates, add additional locations, start new practices profitably, add additional team members to their teams. We've also interviewed over 150 of the world's most successful upper cervical specialists on the podcast and have written 2 editions of the UC Practice Success Handbook, Upper Cervical Practice Mastery, Learn Success Secrets of the World's Top Upper Cervical Doctors. That's who I am. That's why you should listen to me. This is all we do every day is grow upper cervical practices. And really, Doc, I want to remind you that you are the hero. You're the one that we serve. We love upper cervical specialists because you're the ones that are out there every day bringing hope and healing to sick and suffering people. And you're making a difference in your community. You're touching people every day who are hurting, and you're setting them free. And that is an awesome, awesome thing. Don't ever forget what you do for your community and how important it is. And what we do, what we're about, is we are your guide. We are that person who comes alongside and points you in the direction that you need to go, gives you the guidance, gives you the resources to help you continue to grow your practice, continue to help more and more people in your community. And that's what we are all about. And so what we're really going to be talking about today is how to build a 2-doctor office without losing what you love about your practice. Because this is what it's about, right? I mean, many times I talk to doctors who are in solo practice, and they love their practices, they love what they do for their patients, they love their practice. They just love it. And they don't want to lose what they love about their practice when they add another doctor in. And I'm going to show you that that's not what needs to happen. If you set things up right, if you get things prepared, if you step into it, you can expand what you're doing. You can reach more people. You can make a bigger impact, and you can actually still love your practice. And if anything, you can actually love it more than you did when it was a solo practice. And so that's really what we're going to be focusing in on today, is how to do that. And I'll tell you too, Doc, if you stay until the end, we've got some great bonuses for you, some great things that are going to really help you to move the needle with your practice. And so who am I talking to today? When it comes to our growth stages, we talk about these all the time. Who I'm really talking to today is doctors that are in the practice growth stage 2. It's what we call the misaligned doc stage. And I'll talk about why do we call it that in a minute. But this is, doctors in solo practice who are collecting more than $20,000 per month. And really what I want to help you do is move from this stage to the next stage, which is the trailblazing doc stage, where you have 2 doctors in the office. I really want to see that become the norm within upper cervical practice. For many years now, we're about to start our 10th year of our upper cervical practice survey. And every year we survey upper cervical practices to see, a variety of different things, determine best practices. And one of the questions we always ask is, how many doctors are in the practice? And for many years, 70 to 80% of all the people who have responded to our survey are in solo practice. And my vision for upper cervical is that one day that will be switched, that 70 to 80% of all practices will be multi-doctor practices, so that we can have more stability within upper cervical and be able to serve more people. And so that's what I want to help doctors do, is move beyond this stage into the next stage where they have 2 doctors in the practice. And sometimes I get some pushback on this when I say, hey, practice growth stage 2 is it's the misaligned doc stage, right? And I've had doctors reach out to me and say, my practice isn't misaligned. Why do you say that? And I'll tell you, there's other words I could use like treadmill or vulnerable, or there's a reason why I say these things, and I'm going to go into this a little bit just so you understand where I'm coming from on this. Because doc, you are vulnerable right now. If you're in solo practice, you're vulnerable. And the reason why I know that is because 13 years ago, I was you. I was collecting $40,000 per month in a solo practice. And one day I went mountain biking with some friends. I broke my neck. I lost my practice within 3 months. I don't want that for you. I want you to thrive for years to come. You never think it's going to happen to you until it does. And so solo practice is vulnerable because of the fact that it all depends on you. It depends on you to make it happen every day. And another word I use to describe this phase of practice is a treadmill practice. And that's because if you are in this stage where it's all depends on you, it's like being on a treadmill every day. If the treadmill is going, then your practice is going and you're on that treadmill. But if you're not on the treadmill, the practice isn't going, right? You get off the treadmill for any reason, the practice stops. And that's a place of, and a reason why I call these practices misaligned is because just like when people come into your practice and they think that they're healthier than they are, but they're really misaligned and it's impacting their entire lives, your practice is not as healthy as you think it is, doc. It's misaligned because it's vulnerable. It's vulnerable to things that are as simple as taking a vacation or going on a maternity leave, but also to things like injury or illness and these types of things, or even a tragedy within your family. That's why I say these solo practices are misaligned, is because it's vulnerable to all these things that can happen in the practice. So what we want to do is help you move your practice out of the misaligned doc stage into the trailblazing doc stage where you have 2 doctors in the practice. And I'll tell you, I've heard all the reasons why to not hire an associate over the years. And what I've found is that there are some good reasons and there's just some terrible reasons, right? So here's 5 terrible reasons that I've heard and why, or that I've, perceived from doctors as I've talked to them over the years. One is just complacency. And it comes down to just, just seems like, man, a lot of work to hire an associate, right? Or I'm just comfortable with my practice. I love my practice. I love taking care of my patients. I'm good to go. Or sometimes you have fear. It's like, I've tried that before. It didn't work. Or you think it's too much of a hassle. It's a lot of work to find an associate. Or here's another one. You think a waiting list practice is good, right? If you have your practice is over capacity, meaning that you can't get in a new patient for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it is, that's not a good thing. That means that sick and suffering people are waiting to see you. They're waiting to get help in your practice. And that's not what you want. And so these are 5 terrible reasons to not hire an associate. And if you're thinking that any of these things are good, I want to show you that they're not. And really there are some good reasons to not hire an associate, or why doctors would say they haven't hired one yet. And one of them is you just don't know the steps to take, right? And I hope I'm going to give you a lot of clarity around that today when it comes to the steps. Another one is that you're just not at capacity yet. And this is a good reason, right? If you're not at capacity yet, don't hire an associate. We'll talk about what capacity looks like in a minute. Not collecting enough money yet. Another good reason. We'll talk about what that number is. And then your overhead's out of control. This is another good reason to not hire an associate. We'll talk about where overhead should be in order to hire. And then you can't find one, right? And this is a legit reason. I talked with a doctor the other day who's been looking for a while and just haven't been able to find one. And we'll talk about some good places to find an associate as well. All right. So a couple of things just to keep in mind too that you can get into is, one is you can hire too early. I've seen this before with doctors. I've seen doctors who have an associate in their practice and they're collecting less than $20,000 per month. That's not a good time to hire an associate. right? You want to hire an associate when you're close to capacity, or even maybe even over capacity. Like I said, if you got a waiting list, it's beyond time to hire an associate. But if the practice is not at capacity or is not collecting enough money, or the overhead is out of control, then you must get those factors dialed in before hiring that associate doctor. You can also, though, wait too late, right? Another mistake is just waiting too long. When you're at capacity or you're beyond your capacity, what's going to happen is you're going to see the quality of your care begin to go down, or the quality of the patient experience will diminish dramatically if you've waited too long. Now, some doctors say, well, can't I just hire more staff to help? Yes, but this does not allow the practice to run without you, right? You're still in a treadmill practice. It's still vulnerable for all the reasons we've discussed. And so, yes, you can add additional CAs and those types of things, but it's still, the practice still is completely and totally dependent on you. And that means that you're still in that treadmill practice. So really, Doc, I want to encourage you that it's time. It's time to accelerate your practice out of practice growth stage 2 into the next one where you have 2 doctors in the practice so you can continue to help more people. Because the upper cervical mission is bigger than you. People need your care in this community, in your community. It's about the sick and suffering people that need hope and healing. That's what it's all about. So let's get into this. 5 prep steps to take before hiring your first associate. We're going to go through each of these 5 steps and help you to see if you're ready, right? And we're going to talk about purpose, metrics, roles, new patients, and the plan. So the first prep step is your practice purpose driven? And is that purpose communicated consistently? This is a big part of it, because when you're going to bring another doctor into your practice, you have to have a big why behind that practice. You got to be communicating that consistently to your team. So a purpose-driven doc who wants to help more people, who has a clearly defined mission, vision, and values, and a desire to lead and mentor an associate doc. So let's talk about each of these things. So when it comes to communication, there's this quote by George Bernard Shaw that says, the greatest illusion of communication is it's actually happened. So many times we think that we're communicating, whether it's to our patients or our team, but because we're not doing it consistently enough, we're not communicating consistently enough, they're not actually hearing us. What I want to encourage you, Doc, is if you have a mission and vision and values for your practice, you want to make sure that you're repeating it. You want to get used to repeating yourself. If you do this, it will change your team for the better, because you want to communicate your mission, vision, and values more and more and more so that your team can align behind it and continue to grow. And so a purpose-driven doc is the type of doctor that I've seen with every top upper cervical doctor that I've ever talked to, ever interviewed, ever worked with, ever been a client, ever had as a client. Every single one of them has a purpose that is very, very clear and a big why behind what they're doing. As BJ Palmer said, a man without a purpose can be distracted, but a man with a purpose cannot be stopped. And that's what it's about. You've got to have that purpose that's driving you. So some skills you need to level up: clearly defined mission, vision, and core values. These are clear. These are really, really important to make sure that you have this dialed in. So I like to start with the core values. If you don't already have these are the values that your practice exudes. It's what it means to be a we of your practice. Like, this is how we work. This is what we do. It's a collection of characteristics that outlines what it means to be a team member of your practice. So having those core values clearly defined is really, really important. And then secondly is having that vivid vision. And that's, who you are, who your patients are, and where you are going. And there's, the variety of different questions you can ask to help you get to that place of a clear vision. But the key is you want to be as a preferred future, a direction you're going, and you consistently communicate that to your team. And then lastly is that mission, right? That's that one sentence mission that your team can rally behind, that they can get excited about, that they can see as a crusade for your practice. This is what you're all about. It's a focus on a bigger purpose that fires you up. And so as part of that, and part of your mission, vision, values, is it should lead you, if you've got a big enough why, it should lead you to want to lead and mentor other docs. Because as you look back, you think about who mentored you in this work. How did they help you? What do you know that you could pass on to another doc to help them be successful? And at some point, you're going to reach capacity in your practice. An associate can help you help twice as many people in your community and eventually double your practice or more if you do it the right way. Let me give you an example of this. One of our clients, Dr. Greg Dutson, is currently in practice growth stage 2, but he started in practice growth stage 1 with us just earlier this year. Practice collecting about $15,000 per month. And in about 4 months, we worked with him, got him up to 35, 40K a month. And that's in practice growth stage 2. He's in that solo practice. But the key with him now is we are continuing to dial in these prep steps that I'm going over with you now so that he will be ready to hire an associate next year in 2025 and move into practice growth stage 3. And that's the key with all of this, Doc, is you want to continue to prepare for the next stage. And for you docs that are in practice growth stage 2 and solo practice collecting more than $20,000 per month, the prep steps that you're taking in this webinar, the things I'm talking about, these are the key to get things ready for you to hire that associate, just like we're doing as we work with Dr. Dutson. And so prep step number 1 is just being purpose-driven, focused on that purpose, that big why. Prep step number 2 is the metrics. Are the metrics met? Collecting at least $35,000 per month with a 50% overhead is where you want to be. So when you're collecting about $35,000 per month consistently for 6 months, that's when we would recommend thinking about hiring an associate. You also want to be looking at your overhead, though. If your overhead is, 75% and you're collecting $35,000 per month, that's not going to work. You're not going to be able to bring your highest paid team member in and make it work with that type of a practice. And so making sure that you have enough margin within the practice is really, really important, because you want to have enough margin to, pay yourself, pay your taxes, build some retained earnings, be debt free, reinvest in your business, right? And that comes with having an overhead that is manageable at around 50%. What's overhead? It's everything that it takes to run the business, right? That would include your payroll, your rent, utilities, marketing, equipment, supplies, insurance, consulting. Basically, all expenses and investments it goes into your overhead, everything except for what you pay yourself, right? And so 50% of all your expenses should be about where you are when it comes to where your collections is. And so you may have to raise your collections in order to get to that place where you can add an associate, right? Because you want to be around, like I said, the numbers we use is $35,000 per month with a 50% overhead. But if you're at $35,000 a month and your overhead's 60, 75, 65%, then you may need to get up to $40,000 a month just to make sure that you're closer to that 50% overhead. And so that may mean hiring additional CAs or support staff, tightening up your systems. It may mean raising your prices. There's different things that you can do to increase your collections while keeping your overhead under control. So the key is, though, Doc, is to hire an associate when your practice is ready. That's the key, right? You want to make sure that your practice is ready for you to hire an associate. If it's not ready, then you're going to not be making a wise decision. And these are the numbers that you want to use. Are you at these metrics yet? Prep step number 3 is roles have been clarified. You want to break up with chaos by clearly defining roles and responsibilities. The underlying problem is that you can't get your team on the same page, working in the same direction. To level up the practice, you've got to learn how to align your team, give them purpose, and clarify their roles. And so let's talk about that. So there's 2 key things related to role clarity that we help doctors with all the time, and that's KRAs and KPIs. KRAs are key results areas. They're the results you're looking to accomplish in the position. every team member within your practice should have at least one KRA. Most team members have between 3 and 5. Many doctors have come to us who are in practice growth stage 2, for instance, and have just worked with us on KRAs and KPIs, and it's made a tremendous difference in their practice. Just getting those roles clarified so that every CA knows exactly what they should be doing, what is the target every day for them, makes a tremendous difference in your practice. So along with KRAs is KPIs, and those are key performance indicators. These are the metrics that determine whether or not the results are happening. So for every KRA, there should be at least one KPI. Typically, there's anywhere from 3 to 10 KPIs per KRA. So again, this is a crucial step in clarifying each of the roles on your team. And it's really, really important to get ready so that when you bring on your associate, they can have clear KRAs and KPIs as well. One of the best ways that I've found to not only define KRAs and KPIs, but also to hold team members accountable to them is what's called the job scorecard. We have a great, free tool for you. If you go over to the website, ucmgrow.com, and click on resources and practice growth tools, you'll find the job scorecard template there for you. You can download that and use that template to create your own job scorecards, or you can always reach out to us to help you. So what about the associate contract, right? So many people will ask us, well, do you have an associate contract that we can use? And what I say is, with associate contracts, there's a number of different steps that have to go into this to make it work. Number one is you want to get a role description created. And a role description is exactly what it sounds like. It's describing the role. Within your practice, what does an associate doctor look like, right? You want to start writing this down. What are they going to do? What results are you looking for them to accomplish? How are you going to measure those results? How are they going to be supported? What can they expect from you? What can you expect from them? All of this goes into your role description. And what you're going to use this role description for is advertising your position, but it's also going to help you with your position agreement, or, as many doctors call it, a contract, associate contract. And so this is the first step. Creating that role description will get you going in the right direction when it comes to an associate. But then from there, you want to get into a full position agreement. Again, we have a great resource for you, free resource over at the website. It's our hiring resource kit. And in this kit, you'll get a position agreement. And within that position agreement, it's going to you can lay out your KRAs and KPIs and really get those dialed in for the associate position. And then from there, another part of that contract is the offer letter. The offer letter will contain things like how much you're going to pay the associate, how you're going to pay them, what's their base salary, what's their bonus structure, what about their benefits, your PTO policy. Once you've clearly identified all of this, you put it in that offer letter, and that goes with your position agreement as part of that contract. So what about finding an associate? As I said, there's, a lot of doctors have trouble finding associates. Some of the best places we found to look are your technique conferences, right? Going to your technique conferences, being part of your job fairs, doing those types of things, posting on your technique websites and those types of things with your opportunity. The upper cervical clubs at schools, right? Getting connected with any of the schools in your area, speaking to those clubs, interacting with them. And those are good ways typically to find students or new doctors who could be an associate. But what I found, a lot of really, really good associates are more experienced doctors that may be in practice, 7, 8, 9, 10 years or longer, and they're doing full spine work. And maybe they are ready for a change. They're in your local area. Maybe they have their own practice and they don't like having their own practice. They'd rather work for another doctor. These types of doctors can be a really, really good source for associates if you can reach out to them and connect with them and show them how they could learn a new technique. They could be, go into a system that works, and they already have that experience of being able to talk to patients, interact with patients, have more maturity. That may be another good place to look for an associate. So another example, Dr. James Blanford, doctor who started with us with our Start Right program. And we've worked with him through Start Right, through Practice Growth Stage 1, and now into Practice Growth Stage 2. And now he's slow and steady movement towards Practice Growth Stage 3. This is the key with him is helping him to check all these boxes, get prepared so that when he hires an associate next year, we help him to do that. He's ready to go with all these prep steps. So lastly, prep step 3 is to clarify those roles. Prep step 4 is enough new patients, right? Got to have enough new patients coming through the door to make sure that you have enough to fill 2 doctors' practice schedules. And so let's talk about some things that we want to make sure that are happening within the practice in order to generate enough new patients. One is having a patient education process that leads to referrals, right? Are you consistently generating referrals? If not, these are some areas you want to look at to improve so that you can improve the number of new patients that are being generated internally from the practice. So it starts with a new patient phone call. How is that being done in the practice? What about your consultation, exam, imaging, and report, your care plan presentation, your progress exams? Do you do progress exams? Are you charging for them? And do you have a patient education system that educates a patient from the phone call all the way through, years of wellness care? These types of things are really important to look at when it comes to, are you generating referrals or not? Every one of these is a different system that we work with doctors on to make sure that they're dialed in. What about health practitioner referral network? Do you have a number of different health practitioners within your community that are referring patients into your practice? If not, this needs to be an area where you focus some energy and attention. And what we recommend is, that you become the connector. It starts with, something as simple as just searching Google, start making a list of all the practitioners in your area, different types of health practitioners, and then just call them, set up meetings. When you meet with them, say something like, hey, we're going to be doing a study group, or you can call it a provider night at my practice Tuesday night at 7:00, whatever. And, once a month, it's a way for us to build relationships. It's not networking. Networking's like being a pool of piranhas. Everybody wants to eat each other. Nobody wants to give. Everybody just wants to take. This is going to be designed. But what we're going to be doing is going to be designed for collaboration. It's going to be designed on relationship building. That's longer term. It's going to be built upon creativity. If are you interested in coming? We're going to be doing it the first Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. at my office, right? Certain people are going to resonate with this. They're going to say, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'd like to be able to be involved with a group like that. And some others just, don't have the time or energy for it. But you have to get out of your office. You have to start talking to people. You have to start building these connections, building these friendships with other health practitioners if you're not doing it already, because this is another way that you can make sure that you're getting enough new patients in the door for you and your associate. And then next is effective digital marketing. If you have, obviously, if you're a client of ours and you have been getting new patients from the internet for years, that's fantastic. But if not, I encourage you to get started with some of this stuff. Spend some time recording videos, spend some time getting video testimonials, these types of things, and then putting them everywhere online. It can help tremendously to grow your practice and get more and more new patients from the internet, and also just convert more of your referrals. And you want to make sure that you're building social proof. We talk about getting 24 video testimonials and 100 Google reviews every year, which is certainly possible if you focus in on it and are consistently doing it. And it's, it really comes down to getting 2 video testimonials and 2 Google reviews every week. And really, it's about communicating the why behind why you capture success stories to your team and to your patients consistently every day. Doing a morning huddle, discuss who can do a review that day or a video testimonial. In your weekly team meetings, talking about Google reviews, watching video testimonials with the team, celebrating the results. You want to develop that culture that's focused around success stories if you haven't already. So a great example of this, Dr. Barbara Reed. And, she was one of these doctors who had an associate, but it was it was really it made it so the practice was very tight because of the amount of overhead that the practice had. And so what we really helped her with is building her associate schedule so that she could, start to actually enjoy having an associate. And so giving her enough new patients to give her associate the breakthrough that he needed was the key. And so that's the key with this, like I said, is you got to have enough new patients coming in, not just for the clinic director, but also for the associate. And so that is a really, really key piece. So that's the next prep step, is having enough new patients. Lastly is having the right plan in place. As we talked about, purpose driven, enough money, role clarity, enough new patients. These are all key parts of this and getting your practice ready. But you also just have to have the right plan. You got to have the right guidance, the right resources at your disposal. And one of the best ways you can do that, and what a lot of doctors are doing now, is just engaging us with practice growth sessions. And really what this is it's a time to sit with us, sit with a guide from our team, and really talk through your practice, identify those areas that need to be improved, whether it is role clarity, whether it is getting those KRAs and KPIs dialed in, whether it is getting your overhead under control, whether it's the issues with how much you're charging or charging for everything that you're doing, or whatever it is. We can sit with you, we can identify and analyze and really find out what is those issues that are holding you back from being where you need to be to hire an associate. And so this is a really good step at building that plan, is to just get started with some practice growth sessions. And this is as simple as just remembering that, you're the hero. We're here to guide you. We're here to guide you to where you need to go. We're here to identify those areas like, hey, look, there's a hole over there. There's a problem over here. You got to watch out for that. This is going to be a problem here if you start going in that direction, right? We've seen it. We've gone this way with doctor after doctor after doctor. So we know what to look for and what to make sure to put in place so that you're successful with this and not have a terrible experience. And so what do you do now? If you're in that place where you need a good plan, you want to identify those things, then just go over to ucmgrow.com and click on Start Growing. This is our practice growth sessions. This is what it is. It's the absolute best thing you can do right now to move your practice in this direction. You're in practice growth stage 2. You're collecting more than $20,000 per month, and you have that desire to have a second doctor in the practice. This is what you should do. Go to ucmgrow.com, go click on that Start Growing button, schedule an initial time with us, and start those practice growth sessions. There is nothing better that you can do right now to help you get dialed in with these prep steps and hire that first associate. So thank you, Doc, so much. Thank you so much for being part of this webinar today. I encourage you to get started with us with some practice growth sessions. There's nothing that you're going to that could help you more right now than that. And if you're really looking for more new patients, that is another way we can help you. If it's like, hey, I've got a lot of this stuff dialed in, but what I don't have is enough money or enough new patients, then we have a different plan for you there. When it comes to, let's just get you more new patients in the door. And that's our 90-day UC Practice Accelerator. And this is for those docs who, like I said, I've got the systems in place. I've got the team in place. We're dialed in with all this. We just need more new patients. The 90-day accelerator is really that's designed for. It's about getting more new patients in the door. And what this is we're going to send a local social media influencer into your practice to get some very specific content that we instruct them to take. That's going to not only go out on all of their social media to tens of thousands of followers, but also can be used strategically within your advertising on Instagram and Facebook to get consistent new patients from those sources as well. But also, we're going to get you into our upper cervical awareness website and directory, get you new patients from that. get you local SEO for your website, get you more new patients there. Google reviews, build those up so you can convert more people. Get your videos optimized, distributed, promoted, get more new patients there, and then generate more referrals from inside the practice. Like we're talking about making sure that you have a dialed in patient education system with an email newsletter, your custom promotion of practice events, in-office educational flyers. All these types of things can help you generate more referrals. And then reactivations, right? You got a bunch of patients who used to come to the practice. We want to convert those, bring those back into the practice. And we have a custom dashboard to track all these leads, monthly data reporting. And it's all about generating great results, which is what we've been doing for doctors for going on 12 years now. Dr. Means with his 50 new patients per month, or Dr. Cook doubled the practice in a year. Dr. Lin went from a $500,000 practice to 1.75 million. Dr. Taylor getting those consistent new patients from the internet now. These are the types of people that we help with new patients, getting them in the door all the time. And because you stayed to the end, I'm going to give you some bonuses. I'm going to give you some extra things that you can also use as part of this 90-day accelerator to even accelerate this even faster and get more new patients in. These bonuses are, if you schedule today, if you go to the website and schedule, then you can get these things as well. Bonus number one is the uppercervicalcare.com premium listing. This is another fantastic way to generate new patients. Uppercervicalcare.com is the largest directory of upper cervical doctors on the internet, and we have we connect that listing directly into our system. So every time someone calls or submits a form, they go directly into our system, get all that follow-up that we do, so that you convert a maximum number of new patients from this as well. We also have your new patient email sequence to help you not only as you get those new patients in, but also get them educated, get them referring others is a huge part of this as well. An upper cervical specific whiteboard video is the third bonus that you'll get with this, that will help to really educate patients both on your website and on social media. And then lastly, another great resource for in the office, the Spinal Column in-office PDF newsletter to, again, help you educate more patients, generate more referrals. And so what do you do now if you need more new patients? If that's the key for you to get to the place where you can hire an associate, then again, just go over to the website, ucmgrow.com, click on Start Growing. Tell Tony when you talk with Tony that you want the 90-day UC Practice Accelerator. That is what you are looking for, that specifically, and he can help you get dialed in with that as well. So doctors, thank you so much again for your time. ucmgrow.com, Start Growing is where you want to go. We appreciate you. We're excited for you to move into this next phase of care, or next stage of growth in your practice. And as we always say, go team upper cervical.